Here we are in the Tip Top Media Arts Building. Welcome and come on in.
In the year 2006, an interview was conducted in the Tip Top building that has never seen the light of day. This is that interview. Edited back together from its source material and with the same questions asked in the same location, 20 years later.
This building once was the Tip Top Bakery, and it has a history of many different uses. It's become an historical landmark in this neighborhood as White River Junction begins to grow again. The Tip Top building now contains many new businesses and artist studios. Each month on this program, we will interview the business owners and artists who make Tip Top unique, and we will take a tour of their workspaces. Today we're here on the second floor of the Tip Top building with Gabriel Q. He's a mask maker as well as a performance artist. And anything else that I'm missing?
Puppeteer.
Puppeteer.
Adult puppeteer.
All right, so today we are here with Gabriel Q. He's a mask maker, a puppeteer, and a performance artist. But is there anything else that I'm missing about you?
Well, probably. But I mean, as a puppeteer, that is kind of like the original multimedia artist. So I write scripts, I build puppets, which involves sculpture, sewing, and painting, and then I build the stages, and then I perform the show. Mm-hmm. So I'm like an everything kind of artist.
Jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. Very nice, very nice.
And we're going to talk with him, see what he does, and let's start off by talking about your background a little bit. How did you get into this career? And as a kid, did you have interest in?
Yeah, I basically figured out what I wanted to do when I was about 5. I experimented with other things and then just kept going back to puppets and masks and fantasy and costumes. Mm-hmm. When I was 5 years old was when Sesame Street came on the air. So you do the math. And I just love the Muppets. I love Ernie and Bert and Miss Piggy later on the Muppet Show. Mm-hmm. And I started making my own puppets inspired by the Muppet Show. And I made that style puppet. And then I later got into marionettes, string puppets. And then I wanted to be in the show because I'm a little exhibitionist. I want to be in the show with the puppets. And it's like, well, how do I get myself into that world? And that kind of led me into the mask making, where I could become one of the puppets.
I see.
And the mask making interest led me into learning about Mardi Gras in New Orleans. And then I started going to New Orleans for the Mardi Gras and getting some galleries there representing me. And so ever since then, I've been going to Mardi Gras for 25 years.
So let's talk about your background a little bit. How did you get into this career that you're doing now? I mean, as a kid, did you have any interest or any direction?
Yeah. My when I was 5 years old, Sesame Street came on the air, and we watched it in school, and I watched it at home, and I kind of knew what I wanted to do immediately. It's like, I'm making puppets. So I scrapped together puppets, sock puppets, and everything out of whatever I had, and made my own puppet shows. From a very early age, and then I just never stopped doing that.
Do you have a favorite Muppet?
Yeah, probably Cookie Monster.
It's a good one.
Wow, and you were just there, right? And we have some pictures of your tub. Is that how you?
Yeah. My friend Matt Busey and I built a bathtub costume that we were both in the tub, and then there was a hole in the center so that a third person, people on the street could come up underneath, and they could be in the tub with us.
In the bubble bath.
So then it'd be, rub-a-dub-dub. And it was very a very fun costume. Like, the thing I love about Mardi Gras is how interactive it can be, and to create costumes that are interactive with people. So it's not just that you look great, but that there's some kind of interaction built into the concept of the costume. One of the other things I do is I'm an entertainer in Renaissance festivals, and I work the streets as a character, and I build puppetry-inspired costumes, and I walk on stilts also. And so, what I do for a living is I interact with people and create these costumes in which I can interact. And then Mardi Gras, I just go, and no one's paying me to do that, so I get to really do whatever I want.
Here with me, I've got some pictures for you. And I'd like you to tell me a little bit about them.
Okay, glad I have my reading glasses in my pocket. Oh, okay, this is, as a puppeteer, I also like make costumes, and I really blur the line between what is a puppet and the performer. So sometimes my costumes are puppetry inspired, but it's me. And this is me and my partner Matt Busey, and we're at Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and we made a costume that was a bathtub, and we both were in the bathtub, and there was under the water, the fabric that was the water, there was a third hole that someone else could get up and come up inside the bathtub with us, and we spent all day giving people baths. They would like get in the tub with us, and we'd scrub them.
Puppet bath, awesome.
A puppet bath.
Why not? I have more of the same here. I've got 3 pictures, and it appears an article.
Yes, we were an AP image nationally in our bathtub. And the funny thing was, we made the bathtub and we brought it down. I have a small utility trailer, and I drove it down from Vermont to New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and then something happened and we couldn't use it. I think it was like terrible weather, and we just decided this bathtub is made out of foam rubber. It's raining. It's going to turn into a giant sponge. We just can't do it. So we just kind of threw together a quick costume, and then brought the bathtub back to Vermont. The next year we brought the bathtub back down, and we wore it that year. And it rained again, but just a storm in the middle of the afternoon, and we spent a good long time under a balcony hiding from the rain in our bathtub
The
costume.
water adds to the realism.
Very much, very much.
Absolutely.
And you bring your well-known butterflies as well to Mardi Gras, is that right?
Yes, we built the butterflies, was it 5 years ago, for the Orpheus Parade. And Orpheus is one of the top, like, 5 giant parades at Mardi Gras, the nighttime parades the last week of Carnival. And I sent a proposal to them, and they liked the idea, so we built these butterflies. And for the last 5 years, they've paraded in the front of the parade.
Excellent.
The way it works is the puppeteers are on the ground, of course, and we wear backpack frames with poles that go up from the backpack frame about 6 feet in the air. Then the butterfly is up there. So it's, when I often explain the butterflies, people think, oh, and you just wear the wings on your back. And it's like, no, the butterfly it's like an upside down marionette. Usually a puppet control is up above and the strings go down and the puppet's down below. And what I did was invert that and put the puppet up over us on rods. So the butterfly is flying, 6 feet and then another 5 feet. So that's about 11 feet up is the butterfly.
And they're lit with lights and...
Yeah, they have this electroluminescent wire that blinks on and off kind of like neon. So they're like butterflies from Vegas. And we have 6 of them. So when we get all 6 going, it's just crazy, and people love it. The puppeteers below the butterfly are caterpillars. The costumes are caterpillars, so we have these adorable caterpillar costumes with little antennas, and then that covers the backpack as well. And the caterpillar is the sort of the clown, the one that's on the ground that's like you can talk to, and then the butterfly is more aloof and more ethereal and beautiful. And I sort of love that combination. One defines the other. So the butterfly is sort of the sacred, untouchable ideal out there, and then the profane is the caterpillar that is cracking jokes and trying to keep that butterfly up. Because sometimes it's windy and you're like, whoa. We have them here in Vermont every Halloween for the Halloween parade, and it's part of the attraction that brings people together for White River Junction Halloween Parade.
Right. Yeah, the glow ball was this year, right? Or
Yes,
that was
this last year was the glow ball, and the year before that was the hair ball, and this coming year it's going to be the fireball in honor of the Great Fire of 2005. So you can plan on being like singed stripper as a concept.
Sounds like a good idea.
Melted go-go boots and fried wigs.
Excellent.
Okay, so you also have brought your well-known butterflies to Mardi Gras. Could you tell me a little about that?
Yeah, the butterflies were made for one of the big nighttime parades called the Crew of Orpheus. And they were made here in the Tip Top building in, I don't know when it was, like 25 years ago. And they have gone back and forth. They migrate back and forth between here and New Orleans. And later we made another set of puppets. We moved the butterflies flew from the Orpheus Parade to another big parade called the Muses Parade. And the Muses commissioned me to make them mascot puppets for their parade specially, and we made giant high heel shoe puppets that walk in the air, and the shoes are about 5 to 6 feet long, and they were made here also. And those went to New Orleans and they stayed there because they belonged to the Muses. But yeah, there's been a lot of projects happened in this little room.
Yeah, I can see a lot. You've got a lot going on.
How did the butterfly concept come into your head? I mean, was it just...
Many years ago, I did a residency at a college where I helped put together a performance piece. And as the piece evolved, we decided we wanted this giant moth. And so I came up with this idea for this giant moth. And that was where it was a very primitive version that I made because I wasn't working with anybody else. I wasn't working with a metal sculptor then. I put it together as I was able to, and it worked really well for that. And then I just kind of kept that idea in my head. It's like, I've developed this concept that's quite beautiful, and then I started performing it. I just started using it as part of my repertory in the Renaissance Festival, because I do a lot of walk-arounds there, and about 4 times a day I just walk through the fair in some costume, and discovered the power of it really there. And so then it was about trying to find someone who wanted it badly enough that I could justify making it, because they're expensive to build. I mean, it's a big project.
How did the butterfly concept come to you?
Well, I did a residency with a performance artist friend who was a professor at Trinity College in Hartford, and we did this performance piece where we developed this moth character, and it was a moth overhead, and then down below I was the puppeteer. And later I thought, this has a commercial application that I could make it into butterflies, and then the puppeteers would be caterpillars. So as a puppeteer, I'm very interested in how we present, especially because I do big parade puppets for the public, for outdoor festival events. What is the puppeteer? You could just dress a puppeteer in black and pretend they're not there. That's sort of the classic thing. But I like the idea of making the whole thing a sculpture, so that the puppet's up there, and then what is the puppeteer? So I turn the puppeteer into a caterpillar. And then the caterpillar is sort of like aspiring to butterfly, and the butterfly is up over their head. So that's more my approach to it as a performer and a sculptor, that I'm making it a whole thing.
So do you find yourself that you need more mechanical engineering background sometimes, or is it more...
It kind of gets drawn out of me, and I also have sort of a... Well, I mean, this is kind of how an artist community works. It's like you start venturing into something that you don't know anything about, and as you talk about it with other people, you find people that might know something about it, or at least have an idea. And the ideas start bouncing around, and it's sort of like I'm the one sort of carrying the idea through, but I'm interdependent with all kinds of other people.
I see.
And that's one of the things that works really well in this building is people can connect with each other about things, and they know somebody that knows somebody, and things get done. You know, so I have a friend who's a metal sculptor who does all the welding, and like the butterfly wings are fabric over a welded metal frame, and it's welded spring steel. And he's also really mechanical, so we've been working. Yesterday we spent 4 hours working out the hinges, the hinge system, which we've worked out several times before as we made the last batch, but now it's like, oh, we get to redesign it. It's sort of like, you know, an artist colony meets General Motors. We get to release the new, you know, the new Hondas coming out.
And with like working projects like that, do you ever find that you need more of like a mechanical engineering background?
Oh, I wish I had. It's very trial and error for me, and I have a number of friends that are more mechanically advanced and have ideas. Like I worked with a sculptor named John Tidd, who is a metal sculptor, and he really designed the mechanics for the butterflies and how everything fits together, and the shoes also. And also, yeah, it's just a number of people have come and worked with me on these projects, and sometimes when it's a big project, I'm more like project director.
Yeah.
I'm the one that gets it across the finish line, even though it involves skills that I don't have. Like, there's a lot of projects that I've done that involve electricity and lighting, and I have enough working knowledge to know what is possible, but then I have to bring in help that can you know, realize that.
And it's completely, how does it move when it's on the back? Does the person have a...
Well, the poles come out of the backpack and go up, and they go up into the middle of the wings. And then the wing is hinged at the body.
Okay.
And there's a single pole that goes up sort of under the, right about the sternum of the puppet's body. And that's the thing that controls the wings.
I see.
If I push it up, it pushes the body up, which leverages the wings down. And if I pull the body down, it leverages the wings up because it pushes against the poles. And the poles, like where the pole goes into the wing, it can go like that.
I see.
So, so that's how it works. It's very much like those birds, those wooden seagulls that are suspended, and when the wind blows, they flap their wings. It's kind of like that, except that the poles are supported from underneath.
I see.
More butterfly questions. How do the butterflies move? How do you achieve that?
I don't know if you've ever seen these floating seagull sculptures. It's like a wooden seagull with the body is hinged, and the wings go like this, and it hangs from the ceiling, and when the wind blows, it just kind of bobs. This is very similar, but in reverse. So we're supporting it from below, so there's sticks that go up into the wing about a third of the way out the wing, and then a center pole goes up and attaches to the body. And when you push the body up, the wings go down, and when you pull the body down, the wings go up, and it makes the butterfly fly. It was definitely a trial and error, you know, getting to something quite simple, really, but it took a while. We tried lots of other, what we thought were more complex, and really they were just more complicated and didn't work. So the simple thing was the elegant solution.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit about the other side of you, your masks.
The masks.
Now, are they called Venetian masks?
The style, the technique is Venetian. I use a paper called cartolana, and it's imported from Italy, and it's the kind of paper they use for mask making in Venice.
And it's a paper mache?
It's paper mache. It's what's called a laminated paper mache. Some paper mache is like a pulp that you mix with water, and it's like you use it like clay and just kind of form it. This paper mache is sheets of paper laid on with glue. I paint glue and then put sheets of paper overlapping, and it's almost more like a paper version of plywood. That lamination makes it very, very strong for very, very thin, and so you can make a mask that's thin and not. If you use paper pulp to get that strength, it would have to be a quarter of an inch thick or half an inch thick,
Right.
because it doesn't have the fiber strength. But in laminated paper, you get a fiber strength and the layering of the glue, and that's the unique thing about this Italian paper is that it's made for this purpose, and it has no starches in it. Like most paper we have, it has something to make it stiff. Like if you want drawing paper, you want it to be rigid so that it resists against the pencil and that isn't going to all rumple up. You want the exact opposite for casting into a mold, because you want it to fit into the mold and stay there. So this is paper that has no starch in it, no rigidity of its own. So I get the paper wet, put it into the mold, and then paint glue, and then that gives it its rigidity when it dries.
I see.
In the shape that you want it.
Okay, so let's talk about a different side of you, your masks. Are they called Venetian masks?
Well, they're Venetian masks in the sense that the Carnival in Venice, in Italy, in the Middle Ages into the Renaissance, and into the 18th century, really, they had masquerade parties and balls, and they wore masks. And the technique that I use to make my masks is the same technique. I import a special paper that is the traditional paper that they use, and I don't make Italian characters so much, because my carnival is New Orleans Mardi Gras, which is French, and it's American, and it's just it's a whole other animal. So, but I'm using the technique, so that's why they're called Venetian style.
Papier-mâché? Okay.
Wow. And you design them based on certain characters, mythical characters, or?
Sometimes I'm sort of all over the map, and as an American mask maker, I feel like that's where I'm supposed to be, because Americans are all over the map.
Right.
If I was an Italian mask maker, I would probably stick to the traditional Italian carnival characters. They're they have a rich tradition of commedia dell'arte and puppet shows and historical figures from the history of Venice to draw from, and their carnival is about recreating those characters, bringing those characters to life each year. The carnival in New Orleans, Mardi Gras in New Orleans, is much more eclectic. It draws from Caribbean, it draws from the Afro-Caribbean, as well as traditions of French carnival and pop culture, American pop culture. So it's the melting pot carnival. And so my masks reflect that also. I have some classical masks, some classical commedia dell'arte characters, and then I also have, like, this one is just a seashell. It's just the theme of the sea and glamour. And other ones are, this one is actually very much like what a mask you might find in Venice. They'll use a lot of tulle and sort of a classic, this is what my version of a domino mask. And that's sort of like a mask that can be worn for any occasion, with an evening gown, with a tuxedo. It could kind of go in any direction.
I see.
And then there's other masks that are more specific character. Like this jester, for instance, he's a jester in a chicken mask.
And you design them based on different mythical characters.
mythical characters and also pop culture. I mean, one of my masks is a coffee cup, and there's like little steams coming out of the top of the coffee cup, and it's a little more pop art. Or sometimes animals, like there's a snake. It's like a face like this, and then the tail slithers up like this. And actually, if you want to pan up, there's a little cluster of masks up here that that I made. There's a cow, and then a jester, and this one behind is a portrait of it's a portrait mask of a famous New York punk artist named Klaus Nomi, who was a German opera singer who then moved to New York and sang like German punk opera, and very much loved in the late 1970s into the 80s.
He looks like the MC from Cabaret.
Very similar aesthetic. Yeah, and German. Woo!
I've been doing a lot of masks lately. They're mask-wearing masks to kind of portray the metaphor of masking, and you kind of need two masks to do that. So masks on the face or masks lifted off the face, like the blackface domino with a butterfly, or this one back here. I call that design Lauren for, I won't explain why, but she's wearing a star mask, and it's kind of like a portrait of someone who's at Carnival and is tired of wearing their mask, and they've slowly revealed themselves by pushing the mask up.
You were making a lot of masks, wearing masks. Can you tell me about how that theme has evolved since the 90s?
Well, the mask is not just a mask; it's also a metaphor, and I love everything about that. I love metaphors.
Yeah.
But also, like that the mask is covering in order to reveal. That the mask is a facade. Right. Literally, where facade comes from is face, and it is presenting just out that way, and there's just this symbolic like outside and inside. I'm just really drawn to that whole thing, and so masks, wearing masks, becomes a sculpture of someone wearing a mask, and you can see there's one back here, just over your head. This one has a mask. It's a big mouth, and then there's a mask coming through the mouth, looking out, almost like the person wearing the mask is looking out through the mouth of the other mask, and his big nose is painted like a tongue.
Do you have any inspiration from another American mask maker, or is it someone else?
Well, you know, one of the reasons we go to Mardi Gras is it's kind of a mask makers convention. This is where a lot of mask makers come every year for Carnival, and we all get to see each other. There's a mask market that's like a craft show of just mask makers, and I don't do it anymore, but I did it for many years, and I was one of the founders of it. And we're part of a marching group called the Society of St. Anne, the Secret Society of St. Anne, that gathers at a secret location outside of the French Quarter on Mardi Gras morning, about 9 o'clock in the morning. Maybe 300 people in full costume, some of the best costumes you'll see at Mardi Gras, and we parade through the city all day.
Do you get inspiration from another American mask maker or from someone else?
It's always a big question, where does your inspiration come from? And my inspiration comes from my own previous work, because I'm 62 now. I've been working as an artisan for 45 years. And so I have a long history now of my own projects, and these projects, these old themes, old ideas, they keep rising up like weeds. And if their time is right, then they come back to life, you know, and I recycle old ideas. Externally, I would say my inspiration really comes from the Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I mean, that's, for me, that's my holiday where I return to the well of all this creative possibility, because the streets are just full of people who have like created costumes and masks, and they're channeling all kinds of ideas, and some of them are classical, some of them are very current, and all levels of technique, and it's just such an incredible spectacle that I want to just immerse myself in that, and then it kind of goes in an unconscious way. I just absorb it all, and then things float back up into my head, and then that's what becomes the next thing.
Sure,
for me.
absolutely. I was wondering if you could show us how you make your masks.
Of course.
So this is the paper that you start with.
Yeah, this is the paper. I'm pretty sure it's about half cotton and half wool. And it actually comes in, like I've got these different piles, and it comes in different weights. So I start with the thinnest paper, and here I'll just put a few pieces. This is a mold, and I've sculpted the mold by making a clay model and then doing a plaster Paris positive over it. So this is a mold which I can use over and over again. And when I cast, I put a little bit of Vaseline in the mold as a separator, so that the paper mache doesn't stick to the mold. That wouldn't be very fun. And then I take pieces of the paper and I dip it in water, shake out the water, or sometimes I flip-flop it on the stack of paper. And then I tear.
All right, so what are we doing here?
So this is a very old technique. This is a pre-industrial, how things were made in the old country kind of situation. And I have this paper called cartellana, which means wool paper, even though it's really not made of wool, it's made of cotton, but it's a translation thing. And I dip pieces of this paper in water, and then I put it in the mold, and then layer the papers like this.
And you make the molds?
I make the molds. I sculpt the faces. I started out making some casts of my own face, and also some friends that I just said, let me cast your face. And then over that, I build a clay design. And this one is a butterfly. And I try to use the torn edge instead of the cut edge, because the cut edge, you'll see it. A torn edge, the layers, as they go over each other, they'll what we call feather, and it'll disappear.
I see.
And I just start putting the paper in like this, and using glue. Oh, wrong brush. I paint glue like so. Okay, why don't I put the glue on this side?
What kind of glue is this?
This is white glue, standard
Okay.
white glue.
And you worry about trimming the edges?
Yeah,
after it's
actually I have a
dried?
little trick. After I get a few layers on, I actually fold it over so that the edge is double thickness, and that strengthens the whole mask, and it creates a nice edge.
And I make the clay design, and then I make a mold of that. And once I have the mold, then I can make many, many masks off the same mold. And over time, I like to think that these characters are like the molds are like people, and each cast I do is kind of like, oh, in this year for Mardi Gras, I'm going to wear this.
Right.
And then the next year, it's like the same character is a different color, a different thing. And so the mold characters are kind of my circle of friends.
And I try to avoid wrinkles, although sometimes wrinkles get in there, or I can make a little tear and then lay it back down. It's a very time-consuming process. You know, this is not something that you can't compete with China and stay in business doing this. This is the appreciation for this work is that it is done traditionally. There are many more expedient ways to produce a mask, but I really love the paper. I love the feeling of it, and I love the keeping the tradition alive.
If you look up on these shelves, these are all mask molds.
Oh, wow.
Some of the molds I'm using I've had for 30 years or maybe more. I don't make all the molds. Some molds have turned out to be more popular as far as sales, that I have to keep making them again and again, and then others are I just made a few.
So that's
Hold
basically...
that up to the camera, we can see. There's different layers, about 3 or 4.
Yeah, well, they overlap
Yeah.
as I put the papers around, and I'll go over the whole mask, and then I'll do it like 4 times
4 times.
to get the thickness.
And with the different thicknesses of the paper?
Yes, I gradually, like the first layer is with the thinnest paper, and then I start working into the thicker and thicker papers because you don't need as much detail. I want the thin paper to capture all the detail in the mold that I can. And then as I build up, I'm using thicker papers to build bulk.
I see.
And it makes the back of the mask smoother.
Being an independent artist, I use my skills in any way to keep the lights on, as they say. And so while I'm a performer, it doesn't entirely support me. So this has always been this additional business that I do, is to make masks. And I have very fortunate to have a gallery in New Orleans that sells my work. And it's wonderful to be out on Mardi Gras Day in New Orleans and see people wearing my masks, because they're my friends. Although I've learned, sometimes I've gone up to tell them, you know, I'm the mask maker, I'm the artist that made the mask you're wearing, and then they just look at me like, oh my God, if they don't know what to do. So I don't say much anymore. But then someone said, well, what were you wearing at the time you walked up to this person? Well, there's that.
When it's dry, it takes basically overnight to dry, depending on the weather. In the wintertime, when it's really dry here, the mask will be ready to pop out of the mold in a few hours.
Wow.
But generally, it takes overnight. And so this is a mask that's been cast, and I had folded the edges, and it just pops out.
Wow. You can see the layers. And I think I've seen some of your masks where you've actually accentuated layers with the painting. Like you kind of...
Yes. The next step that happens is they get what's called a gesso coat. And my gesso, there are different kinds of gesso. This gesso is called a hide glue gesso, and it's a heated liquid glue that I mix with a white powder, and it makes a kind of like a really sturdy plaster finish. And I paint that on, and I paint 2 or 3 layers and sand in between, and that's what really builds up the smoothness. Now you'll see on this that I've sanded down to places where the paper has come through, and I'll use that in my painting technique. If I wanted it not to look distressed, I mean, that's what we're talking about, is distressing. If I wanted it not to look like that way, I would just give it a nice gesso coat and leave it.
Right.
But this I've sanded away. This could also be a mask that is just waiting for yet another layer of gesso. The sanding is a way to, really perfect the imperfections that come with the casting, the paper.
I keep working my way across this mold and putting in a layer of paper, and in the end, I won't make you stand here and watch me get all the way through it, because there will be 5 layers
Oh, wow.
of paper.
Okay.
It has to be durable if someone's going to wear it for 5 hours and party, possibly in the rain. They have to hold up. In a way, what I'm doing is I'm creating a 3-dimensional sculptural plywood.
Sure.
Like this is plywood. It's just like thin layers of wood fiber that are sandwiched together with glue, and it's the same thing I'm doing. Or a snowboard. I'm making a snowboard you put on your face.
I've always wanted a snowboard I can put on my face.
Well, you've come to the right place.
And then the addition of the fabric, is that kind of spontaneous, or do you?
Yeah, well, the way it works, my process is that I have all these molds, and I don't know if you can pan over here, but this is just some of the molds over here, and then there's more molds back here. For any design of a mask, I have to generate a mold, and then I can do multiples. And so what that leads me to do is variations on a design. So I'll make a fish mask, and then it's like, okay, well, what are the different ways I can differentiate the fish so that they're not all exactly the same? So there's gold leaf, there's painting, and within the painting, it's just like every one could be different.
Right.
And then there's fabric treatment. So it's kind of like they gradually go from being genetic clones to individuating in the process of the finishing.
I see.
And so that's how I kind of like turn them into individuals through that process. And also rhinestones. I see we've got some rhinestones left over here. I love rhinestones.
Anyway, this is half the mask, and you can see what's happening here. Here's the mold, and then here's the paper going into the mold. And I would build up 5 layers. I've got 3 different weights of paper that I use, starting with the thinnest layer so that I can get all the detail, and then thickening it out so that it starts to build its strength and durability. When it's finished, when it's dried, which will be like, depending on the weather, this time of year with the humidity, it would be the next day it'll dry. In the wintertime, when the heat's cranking in here, it'll be dry enough to pop out of the mold in a few hours.
Yeah.
And then I take a knife and I cut the edges off and clean up the line, and then there's all these other things that happen before it gets like finished and painted and the surface is finished.
So what do you see possibly next in the next 10 years? What do you see accomplishing, or do you see yourself continuing really hands-on approach, or do you see?
Well, the last 5 years or so, I've really been focused on production and making about 400 masks in a year. That's starting to change for me. Partly I'm losing interest in just producing. It's like a potter making coffee cups. At some point, you just say enough.
Yeah.
It's enough. But also, there are a lot of masks being produced overseas by hand and being sold in the marketplace, and I can't compete with that. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of driving me towards doing something that's actually more what I want to do. So it's okay, which is to make art pieces, things that are more sculptural in nature. We might even shoot by the front door. I have a couple pieces that's been put into a setting, and it's been enshrined. It has a spirit home, and kind of exploring artistically the traditions around the world of how cultures deal with their masks and the taboo. When I put that mask on my face a moment ago, there was like a spooky moment, and I want to explore that more as a sculptor and create the whole picture instead of just the mask.
I see.
and show those more. And in fact, I have a show scheduled in the spring of 2006 in New Orleans for wall pieces. So I'm really looking forward to that deadline. Gotta make them. Gotta make them.
So really, they're not wearable at that point anymore.
They will be wearable.
They will be wearable.
They will be wearable. The idea is that they have a place that they live. They have a spirit home, and then they can come out of that, and you can wear it. You can go and wear it and have a journey in that mask, and then when you're done, it has a place where it goes. And it's about kind of ritualizing our experience and having a place for it. So if someone has one of these, they'll have their own relationship with it, because anyone who puts on a mask is going to have a different experience than somebody else that puts on the same mask, because it's the combination of the mask and the person that creates almost a shamanic journey. And I think that's a really magical thing, and something that it's what we're so missing in our culture, where everything's sort of handed to us. Our entertainment is handed to us through the television or something, and it's just like you just sit there on the lazy boy, and it kind of like goes into your head. And masks and theatrical experience, where you're having your own kind of theatrical, ritualized experience, that's involving your own creativity and your own perception, and you're perceiving and acting simultaneously. And that's really powerful stuff. That's what makes my heart beat.
Do you have any more questions, Adelaide?
I don't believe I do, but we will thank you for showing us your process and letting us do this interview for you.
All right. Thank you.
Well, it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thanks
you.
for your time.
All right.
And for people who are more interested in your work, where can they go? Do you have a website?
Yeah, it's World Wide Web, GabrielQ.com.
Okay.
Just GABRIELQ.com. And also FantasyTechnicians.com.
Okay.
That's more specifically about the butterflies. And Fantasy Technicians is sort of my company name.
Wonderful. Thanks again, Gabriel.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.